When the unthinkable happens to these children, the small blessing is that we are here not only to console and reassure them, but to ensure their safety and well-being. Without the support of our staff, the Solicitor's Office, law enforcement officials, the Department of Social Services, Guardian Ad Litem, and other community and government agencies, we would not be able to carry out our mission. I would like to take a moment to thank our medical examiner and co-founder of the Care House, Kathy Saunders, our forensic interviewer, Debbie Elliott. They'll stand up. Our child advocate, Melissa Odom. Our medical assistant, Nicole Knopp. And our intake coordinator, Nina Bowler. And our licensed professional counselor, Renee Fitch-Smith. This incredible staff strives every day to meet the needs of our most vulnerable in this community, the children. It is a pleasure to join this team and work with these talented folks every day. Our work is governed by a skilled and dedicated board of directors, including Major Carlos Raines. You'll stand up. Elizabeth Poston. Wayne Brockington. Brian Miller. And Kelly Luckadoo and Tom Sharon. Finally, I would like to recognize the dedicated civil servants who, along with our staff, create a network of support for these children and families affected by abuse. The Care House of the Pee Dee would not be where it is today without the support of individuals and local organizations, large and small, who contribute and volunteer at our facility. It is my pleasure to introduce Ed Clements, 12th Circuit Solicitor for the state of South Carolina. Solicitor Clements' office has been instrumental in prosecuting child abuse cases in our community.
Thank you. Good morning. The scripture talks about, Jesus talked about, if you do it unto the least of these, you've done it unto me. In another place he says to bring the little children to me. And he said also that it would be better for a millstone to be tied around somebody's neck than to be cast into the sea than to harm one of these little ones. And our children are our greatest resource, and they're our most vulnerable group that we have. And law enforcement, solicitor's office, we're supposed to protect those and look out for those. And the Care House is a tremendous shining light in our community. Working with these kids, treating them, getting them counseling, helping us to bring the cases that we need to bring against people that have perpetrated horrible crimes against kids. And we cannot do the job we need to do without the Care House. So we are so grateful and so appreciative of Kathy and Debbie and everybody involved in the Care House. We supported it from the beginning. Carlos Raines and the Sheriff's Office, we saw a need and we helped, did all we could to get the Care House here, and we are so thankful for it, and we appreciate the community's support. It is meeting a tremendous need, not just in the 12th Circuit, which is Florence and Marion County, but all the counties of the Pee Dee. And I want to commend you and give you the honor and praise that you deserve for the job that you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Solicitor Clements. At this time, I'd like to introduce Representative Terry Alexander, State Representative from the 59th District for the State House of Representatives, to read today's resolution.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Let me echo something that my friend and my colleague Solicitor Clements said in reference to our children and their vulnerability and what it means to us. Also in the scripture, it talks about Jesus asked those, when they asked what must they do to inherit the kingdom, Jesus told them that you must become like little children. And one of the ladies in our church on last week said that the scripture does not say children must become like us, but we must become like little children. So Jesus saw the value of them and the value of their vulnerability and the value of their trust in Him. And what happens here at Care House, is, in my mind, is just that too. They come here with some sense of trust of the service that you deliver here. And I like to thank and applaud all of the staff members here, all of the agencies that are associated with this great organization, and all of the work that you do. And let me say that it does not go unnoticed. As a matter of fact, in Columbia a couple of weeks ago, when I received the call that we have this resolution, not only to the Care House, but also my colleagues in the House of Representatives acknowledge the fact that our children across this state are being abused. And with that in mind, they have declared April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in South Carolina. This was done on March the 31st, 2011. It was signed by our Speaker of the House, Robert W. Howe Jr., and our Clerk of the House, Mr. Charles Reed. And it says, whereas nearly 5 children die every day in America from abuse and neglect, and in 2009, an estimate 1,700 children nationwide died from abuse. And whereas in the same year, children advocacy centers around the country served over 254,000 child victims of abuse, providing victim advocacy and support to these children and their families. And by 2010, this number was over 266,000 children nationwide. Whereas statistics from children's advocacy centers provided by the National Children's Alliance reported that among the 266,000 children served by that advocacy around the year 2000, almost 40% were between the ages of newborn and 6 years old, and nearly as many were between the ages of 6 and 12. Whereas during 2007, an estimated 794,000 children were determined to be victims of abuse and neglect, and an estimate 1,700 children died as a result of that abuse and neglect. Whereas although neglect is the most common form of child maltreatment, victims also suffer year after year from physical abuse, sexual abuse, and psychological maltreatment. And whereas the National Children's Advocacy Center seeks to model, promote, and deliver excellent in child abuse response and prevention through service, education, and leadership. And whereas the South Carolina General Assembly understands the growing problem of child abuse and the serious impact its continued existence has on the citizens of South Carolina, whereas on those of us, the rest of the nation, and well as those of the rest of the nation. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives, the Senate concurring, that the members of the South Carolina General Assembly, by this resolution, recognize that abuse and neglect of children is a significant problem, and declare April as Child Abuse Prevention Month here in South Carolina. And this resolve is presented to Ms. Jamie DeWitt, Executive Director of the Care House of the Pee Dee. And we have another one here, and this is directly dealing with the efforts that the Pee Dee, the Care House of the Pee Dee, and its efforts of Child Advocacy Center to provide services to children abuse. I'm not going to read all the whereas and the therefore be it resolved. But let me read the first whereas and the last be there it resolved. Whereas the members of the South Carolina House of Representatives are grateful for the critical work of the Care House of the Pee Dee in serving children of abuse. And whereas Care House of the Pee Dee is a child advocacy center that facilitates a multidisciplinary team approach to the investigation and treatment of child abuse, and that serves Florence, Darlington, Dillon, Marion, Marlborough, Lee, Kershaw, Sumter, and Williamsburg County. Be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the members of the South Carolina House of Representatives, by the resolution, recognize that the work of the Care House of the Pee Dee and commend the efforts of this Child Advocacy Center to provide effective services to children of abuse. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution provided by Jamie D. DeWitt, Executive Director of the Care House of the Pee Dee. Again signed by Speaker Howard and our Clerk of the House, Mr. Charles Reed. Thank you very much.